What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to another episode of Predict the Prem. If you are new around here, please do go and smash that subscriber button. And let's get into it. The way this works, it is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season, which is 5 points for a goal and 1 point for an assist. And the scores at the moment, 3 points for an assist, sorry. And the scores are at the moment 266 to Sim, 290 to myself. And let's get in. We've got 10 games to predict. Let's start off with Aston Villa against Newcastle. I've gone for 2-1 to Newcastle. Sim's gone for 2-2 in this game. I mean, I was toying with a draw because both these teams really are on sensational form, but fact of the matter is Newcastle got a lot more to fight for. I think they are looking like the better side as well, and I feel like Villa have been better away from home than they have been at home, so I'm going for Newcastle just to edge it on this one.
I think their momentum is really taking a lot into this game. 4 wins on the trot for Aston Villa. You say Newcastle have a lot to fight for, but to be fair, Villa now have put themselves in a position where they have a lot to fight for as well. They're going to be fighting tooth and nail for that European spot to get into the Europa League or the Conference League, so I think they'll be right up for this. And I think Ollie Watkins in the form he's in, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Newcastle to go away from home and get all 3 points in this game, albeit I agree with you. Villa like to play on the counter. They like to play in a away from home kind of style. So being at home where they're forced to come out a bit against a very informed Newcastle side who have 5 wins on the trot could play into Newcastle's hands. But I've backed Villa to come with a plan, so I'll come for 2-2.
Next up, Chelsea against Brighton. Both of us going for Brighton win. Tim's gone for 2-1. Why are you going for 2-1?
Yeah, I just think Chelsea right now are really struggling. They're struggling for cohesion. Since Lampard's come in, they can barely create a chance, let alone score a goal. But I feel like obviously they lost in midweek to Real Madrid. They lost last week to Wolves. It's their first home game since Lampard has come in, so maybe that'll be a bit of a different atmosphere there, and maybe they'll get a goal. But I just think the way Brighton will settle into this game, I see them in the end coming on strong and being able to play through this Chelsea side and getting all 3 points. So I've gone for 2-1.
Yeah, I've gone for 2-0. I mean, this Chelsea side are really struggling at the moment. No goals in their last 4 games, no wins in over a month. I mean, they really are struggling. And against a flying Brighton side who are really playing good football on form, I expect it to be quite easy for Brighton, to be honest. So I'm going for 2-0. Next up is Everton against Fulham. Big game down at the bottom for Everton. Sim's gone for 2-0. I've gone for 1-0 to Everton. I think at Goodison Park, they usually have been getting results against us. They got a draw against Arsenal. They got a win. They have got results apart from that as well. Fulham just seem like they have checked out for the season. So I think this will be just Everton will just about get over the line in this one.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think Everton under Sean Dyche, especially at home, they've had this very organised way of playing where it's very hard. They're very hard to break down. But as well, they've shown to be a bit of a threat from set pieces and counter-attacks. I don't know if Calvert-Lewin's going to be fit for this game, but if he is, that can make a big, big difference for them. I've just gone them to win by the extra goal because I really believe Fulham are very much on the beach, and I can see them succumbing to a bit more than a goal defeat, especially without Mitrovic there. So I've gone for 2-0.
Next up, Southampton against Crystal Palace. Sim's gone for 1-1. Why 1-1?
Look, Southampton need to start picking up. Well, we know they've been for the whole season. They need to start picking up points, but I think that at home, in a very crucial game against a team also in the bottom half, I think it's going to be a very tight game. I think they actually are, in fairness to Southampton, they've been involved in quite a few tight games, albeit when they do come up against better teams, they do get slapped very hard. But I think at home to a Palace side, who obviously won 5-1 away at Leeds, but I did think Leeds played into their hands in that second half. I don't think Southampton will do that as much, but I don't think Southampton as well will be good enough to win the game. So I've just gone for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I've gone for 2-1 to Crystal Palace here. I think Southampton, for me, are just sleepwalking towards relegation. I mean, every time I watch them play, they get completely open up. Crystal Palace, they were on a bad run. Roy Hodgson has come in and they seem much better for it. They've won 2 games on the bounce, 2 impressive victories, scoring a lot of goals as well. So I've got a feeling Palace are going to go to St Mary's and take all 3 points, 2-1 victory. Next up, Tottenham against Bournemouth. Sim's gone for 3-1 to Spurs. I've gone for 2-1 to Spurs. I think we will get the 3 points, but I don't think we're going to make it easy for ourselves. I think Bournemouth are actually playing well at the moment. They're giving teams really hard times, and I think they're definitely going to get a goal. But I think we'll just about get over the line with a 2-1 win.
I'm hoping that our home form, the fact that we've won 5 on the bounce at home, we've got a bit of momentum in our home stadium. And we know the quality we have in that final third is significant. So I'm hoping we should get some joy out of this Bournemouth defence. Although it's organised, I do think it's lacking in quality. Bournemouth, on the other hand, going forward, have shown that they can hurt some of the better teams recently, and they're getting some joy recently with Philip Billing, Solanke, Anutara and Tavernier. So I'm wary of that, and I do think they'll probably get on the score sheet. I'm just hoping that the quality will show at the other end of the pitch. Spurs will come away with a 3-1 win.
Next up, Wolves against Brentford. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Brentford. I've gone for 1-0 to Brentford. And I just feel like Brentford's solidity will hold strong in this game, and Wolves, I know they've been getting a few good results of late. You never know which Wolves are going to turn up, to be honest. One week they're going to beat Chelsea, the next week they'll lose, and then the next week they'll win. But I think this Bournemouth side will be a bit too resolute for them, so I've gone for 1-0.
Yeah, it's two teams that like to counter-attack and like to rely on set pieces and rely on moments, and not necessarily relying on very good football to play through teams, although Brentford are probably better than that, the Wolves. And I think if both teams are relying on that, Brentford are much better in those situations than Wolves are. And so I do see them coming out on top. But I do think Wolves being at home after beating Chelsea last week, that should give them a lot of confidence. So I do see them causing Brentford a bit of trouble. So I've gone for them to score, but I think Brentford will have enough to win this game 2-1.
Next up, Manchester City against Leicester City. Big scorelines we've gone for. Sim's gone for 4-0. I've gone for 6-0. Why 4-0?
I think they're going to batter them. I think Dean Smith coming in as his first game, and I think he'll get a rude awakening as to the size of the job he has to keep this Leicester side up, who are just in free fall at the moment. Four losses out of 5 last 5 games, and terrible run of form since the World Cup. And City are just purring. You have to say they're absolutely a delight to watch at the moment. They're really swatting teams away like it's easy. And I expect them to do the same home to a Leicester side, really struggling for form. And I also think Leicester team has gone by. You would have said, oh, they could really maybe hurt this City team on the counter with their talent, but the new man I don't know if we'll see what Dean Smith will do, but they've been playing Vardy last few games and he's just been no threat at all, leading the line, trying to run in behind, and I don't know if Daka will have it in him to be able to create chances in that way. So I don't think Leicester will score.
Yeah, I kind of had the same feeling too, but I just think it's going to be even worse for Leicester than you think it's going to be. I think it's going to be 6-0. Man City are just playing astonishing football at the moment. They look pretty unbeatable. They're scoring a crazy amount of goals. So I think it's going to carry on here. So I've gone for 6-0 to Manchester City. Next up, West Ham against Arsenal at the London Stadium. I've gone for 4-1 to Arsenal here. I mean, West Ham, they are pulling out results from time to time, but I think when they come up against real quality, they do, get battered, really. So I think that Arsenal are going to go there. They might find it tough for the opening stages, but I think once Arsenal get that goal, I think the floodgates will open. So I've gone for 4-1.
Yeah, I've gone for a bit more of a tighter game. I think Arsenal will win because I think the West Ham quality right now is really poor, especially on their counter-attacks. They just don't seem as lethal as they used to be, especially last season. They changed up a bit last week. They went 4-4-2 as opposed to having one up front, and they got the result, but not necessarily a great performance to match with it, albeit they did get a clean sheet. And getting a clean sheet in response to the 5-1 defeat to Newcastle was probably big for Moyes to kind of make sure that they're getting back to defending right. And you've got to remember, against Newcastle, they made so many mistakes. So I'm expecting them to get opened up and Arsenal to show their quality. I don't expect them to make the same mistakes as they did against Newcastle. So I've gone for just a 2-1.
All right. Next up, Nottingham Forest against Manchester United at the City Ground. For the first time this week, we've got the exact same scoreline in 1-1. I mean, Nottingham Forest been really impressive all season at home. Man United of late have been really lackluster away from home. So this one just kind of makes sense, 1-1.
Yeah, similar feeling. I think as well, without Rashford, I can see Man United really struggling to have that incisiveness in the final third to make sure that they're getting the result against this Forest side. I do see them scoring, but I think Forest will be well out for it at home. I think it's going to be a bit of a battle, and that's how Forest will want it, and I can see them coming away with a point.
All right, next up is Leeds against Liverpool. Sim's gone for 3-1 to Liverpool. Why 3-1?
I know Liverpool have bad away form, but usually they drop points against teams who have a solid defence to kind of counteract Liverpool, especially like a team like Bournemouth. They've shown that they can be very, very solid at the back when they really need to. But I think Leeds are just a bit all over the place at the back at the moment. And as much as the way Leeds play, I think Liverpool will thrive on that, in my opinion, and I think they'll want to play within those spaces. I can't see Leeds putting in a performance where they're digging in deep and being really defensively solid, and that's what you need. Even against this Liverpool team who have struggled away from home, you still need to be solid defensively to get the victory and or get a point. And I can't see Leeds doing that, and I think Liverpool have too much quality in their final third. So I've gone for 3-1 to Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't back Liverpool to win away from home at the moment. I think they've won once away from home in like the last 10 or something crazy like that. They really are poor on the road this season. I mean, Anfield is where they're getting all their points this season. Leeds, yeah, I get your point that, they are very weak at the back, but that's why I've gone for a 2-2. I think it's going to be a bit of an open game. I think both these teams can score at either end. I mean, Leeds, they create chances, but they need to put them away. That's their problem. So I think they will do that. They'll get a couple of goals, but I think they'll cancel each other out at 2-2. But let's move on to the star men, and me and Sim have both pushed the big red button. I think my red button, though, is a bit bigger than yours, but we'll see what happens this weekend. But Sim's gone for Harry Kane at home to Bournemouth, and I've gone for Erling Haaland at home at Leicester. I am worried that potentially Haaland might not play instead of Alvarez to play this weekend, but at least Harry Kane's most definitely going to play.
Yeah, I know that. And, obviously he'll be on penalties and everything. It's a very important game for Tottenham, so I'm sure he'll be up for it. And he has the quality, so I think this is, if I'm going to push that Kane button, I think now's the time.
Yeah, and now after this weekend, me and Sim both have used up our Kane and Haaland cards, and we'll see how we go for the rest of the season. But that is your Predict the Prem for this week. Let me know in the comment section below what your predictions are and what you think about our predictions and who you think is going to come out on top, me or Sim, and who your star man is. Let me know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.